So we're here at Elegant Experience. I'm here with David, Meerman, Scott.
It's great to have you here. We did a little tag team this morning. Did 2 different keynotes. It was fun.
It was good. I enjoyed that. You had some fantastic content. I'd love to catch. You talked for a while about sharing content in a B2B environment. Yeah. I think one of the challenges a lot of people have is what I'm talking about, my products aren't inherently fascinating and interesting. Right? Some wonderful examples of how you get that talked about.
Right. Well, I think one of the main things is that nobody cares about your products.
Yeah.
So the challenge for marketers, and it's particularly true of B2B marketers, but I think it's true of all marketers, is we need to forget that it's all about our product because no one cares.
Yeah.
So what do people do care about? They care about themselves. Mm-hmm. They're egotistical. That's okay. And they care very deeply about solving their problems. So the challenge as marketers is to stop doing product stuff and like talking about your products when you're doing online marketing, and instead create some valuable information that will be interesting to people, that will be valuable, and hopefully that's so good that they're eager to share it. You know, when you have a research report or a blog post or an ebook or a video that's so compelling that people send it to their boss or share it with a colleague or blog about it or tweet about it, that's the ultimate.
So why, I mean, a lot of your examples, I mean, I love the research, absolutely. A lot of your examples had brought in funny.
Yeah.
Why are we so scared of it? Why are we so hesitant
I think, particularly with B2B marketers, I think we've got this idea in our brain that we must be serious. You know, we have to stand at attention and always wear a tie, and
yep.
You know, I don't know why. I think maybe because we're marketing to businesses,
yeah. But
we're not marketing to businesses. What we're doing is we're marketing to people. So I think that marketers are just have this, I don't know what it is, this idea that they've got to be serious and this is real, you know, geez, we're trying to reach technology companies, that's our target market, so this is serious stuff. But if you want people to spread your ideas and tell your stories for you, if you want them to blog about you and tweet about you and say, oh my God, this is really cool stuff, you have to create something that's so valuable that they'll share it.
Yeah.
Part of the way you can do that is to create things that are entertaining. And humor is a component of entertainment. Now that's not the only way. I mean, you can create a research report that's really valuable, and you guys have done some of that. You can create a white paper that helps people to solve a problem. You can create an ebook, you know, all sorts of, you can interview a customer. And there's all sorts of things that have potential. Just one of them is humor. I actually show a lot of things that are funny when I present because it keeps people interested. I don't want people to get bored when I'm speaking.
So how do we think as marketers about sharing? I know a lot of marketers get caught up in the, I put out a press release and I put the share to Facebook link at the bottom, yeah. My job is done.
Yeah.
Why are we caught up in that paradigm? How do we think about everything being viral?
I think ultimately we need to be creating content that's so compelling that people will share it. And it's really hard to cause something to go viral. Mm-hmm. Most of the time we fail.
Yeah.
I actually think the best way is to think like a venture capitalist and fund a lot of different initiatives, knowing that most will fail and hopefully one or two will succeed and doing it well. That's how I look at it. So I showed a bunch of examples, I talked about a bunch of examples of really successful, fun, interesting campaigns of people who have spread stuff. I didn't talk about the ones that failed.
True.
But I think if you create 10 things, and you do all of them well, you don't talk about your products, you create 10 different interesting things, chances are that maybe 1 or maybe 2, if you're lucky, maybe 3 of them, yeah. Might be seen by 10,000 people or even 100,000 people, or gosh, even 1 million people. But unless you've tried and done all those, it's not going to work. So I think marketers have been trained and they've learned on the job or learned at school. If it's any time before 2005 or so, mm-hmm. They learned about offline marketing.
Yeah.
They learned the skills of creating brochures, of doing trade shows, of making brochures. I mean, all this stuff that was offline. You know, helping the salespeople make PowerPoint presentations or whatever it is. And I'm not saying those things are wrong, but those skills don't translate to the web. Mm-hmm. Because what the web is about literally becoming like a journalist and creating really great information that's so compelling, that tells a story or solves a problem that people want to share.
So how do we then balance that, right? Because if you're sharing all this content, you're setting it all free, that's wonderful, you get a million people look at it, how do you get the leads that your sales team needs? At the end of the day, you've got to capture that information.
So I think it's really simple. I think you need to have a hybrid model. What most B2B companies have done is they've created a mechanism that says, I'm not going to give you anything unless you give me something in return, and that thing in return is usually an email address.
Yep.
Most B2B companies that I know, you go to their site, and first of all, their site's really boring. And then when you get there, they dangle some offer in front of you, like, download my white paper. And the only way to get the white paper is if you give up an email address. Well, like, I think that's completely broken. Because I think what you've got to do, and I've got a bunch of research that proves this, what you've got to do is create amazing stuff that people can download for free. They can watch the video for free with no registration. They can download a white paper or an ebook or a research report with no registration whatsoever. And if it's so good, people will spread it and talk about it and share it. And then you have secondary offers. So maybe inside the white paper or inside the ebook or at the end of the video it says a secondary offer like, please join our webinar about whatever it is, and then you do have to register. So the machine becomes, literally I recommend you hire journalists to do this, by the way. You hire ex-newspaper reporters, magazine reporters, television reporters, whatever, and there's a lot of these people looking for work because the newspaper and TV business is not doing so great. So you have these people way up at the top of the sales funnel creating amazing stuff, blog posts and photographs and charts and graphs and ebooks and YouTube videos and all this stuff, tons of it, like lots of it, like hundreds of pieces of content. And your the homepage of your website looks like the Wall Street Journal Online. It looks like a content site. All of it's free. And then you get down through the funnel and you start to have offers that require some form of registration. But after people have gotten exposed and said, well, shoot, this company seems interesting, I want to engage with them. I'm not a believer in this concept that a salesperson has to like wrestle you to the ground to make a sale. I mean, yes, a salesperson needs to close a deal. They need to provide alternatives to people when they're ready to buy in the B2B environment. I am not a believer in the idea that it all begins and ends with salespeople. I think it begins and ends with great content that drives people into a sales process. And then marketing automation is critically important, as are the salespeople, but we need to understand how those jobs fit into that funnel. But ultimately, the more free stuff you have, the more people you drive into that funnel.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, David.
Hey, my pleasure.
Pleasure to have you at Up Experience.
Okay.
You made a great keynote today. You're one of the highlights.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you very much.